Welcome to On Roads Less Travelled Off-Road Adventures. In this video we're heading to Kinchega National Park and Lake Pamamaroo. As you enter Kinchega National Park, the first place you'll come to is a rotunda. This has billboards of information about the park itself. It also contains information for bookings and the envelopes that you fill out to complete your booking. Bookings can also be made online.
And discovered the police saddlebags had disappeared. But he found near the bank of the creek, close to where Jimmy had been apprehended by Doyle and Delphi.
So we've just entered Kinchega National Park along the Murray, and we're thinking about staying here tonight. We've just found out that there are no campfires permitted. It is December, apparently from October 1st through to March 1st, I think it is, that there's no campfires of any sort, no solid fuel barbecues of any sort, only gas apparatus is allowed to be used, so we're not quite sure if we're going to stay or not. Kinchega National Park is situated along the Darling River. There are various campsites spotted along the Darling, as well as a number of different lakes that you can explore. The campsites are designated campsites and they are all numbered. Some of them have a drop toilet and some of them have tables, and I believe they all have fire pits. The road winds along the Darling River with various campsites dotted along it. Some of the campsites have water access and some have a steep bank. Last time we drove this track was on the return trip from Arkaroola, which is another video you can watch. It had been raining heavily and it was an absolute mud bath. The vehicle was covered in mud, slip sliding all the way through. Great fun though, loved every minute of it. A favourite spot of the birds. Must be good fish there, I guess. This is Weir 32. You can see the pelicans, the shags, there's white egrets there, there's cormorants, sacred ibis, that was one that just flew up. We've found a lovely camp spot in Kinchega National Park. I'm just going to show you where the flood was. This is a ground level, and just look, going up this tree and up, and there's in the centre of the screen, that's a flood mark from last year's floods. It's currently 34 degrees here on the Darling in Kinchega National Park, and it is baking hot, let me tell you. So I'm going to do an old bushies trick, which is wet my hat and put it on my head. Where is it? There it is. That cools it down. This guy is with the forestry and he is putting out a fire that someone has lit further up the track. They think that it's suspicious because there's been no lightning strikes, and he reported it before anybody else knew about it, so very sus. It's actually a bird hanging there, not a fish, which worked out. So the forestry fellows just told us that there's a potential firebug around who's lit the fire that's just up the road, so we're just going to turn the van around for a quick exit if we need to. Don't think we will need to, but you know, it's not many people are out camping Christmas Eve, and he might think it's an ideal opportunity to do it. So better to be prepared and not need it than to need it and not be prepared. So Greg's just going to park it for a quick exit. night. You might not be able to hear it because I've got wind blocked on my speakers. Beautiful night, but by golly, she's windy. Like gale force winds almost. The willy wagtails are harassing this crow. I'm guessing that they have a nest nearby and they don't want the crow to take their chicks, so they're trying to scare them off. The moon was simply stunning. As we're leaving the next morning, we can see where the fire's been. It was less than a kilometre from our campsite, as it turns out. And lit by a firebug suspected. It's just the pits. As we like to have a campfire each night, we decide to leave Kinchega and explore the lakes nearby that are outside of the national park. It is only inside the national park that we can't have a campfire. Outside the park it's quite okay. So we've come down towards Kopi Hollow just to have a look at the lakes in this region as well. Pamamaroo. We think we found a nice sheltered spot for the night, but decide to head down to the weir to have a look and see what facilities are available down there. Campsite. It has uncover area and toilets. I'm not sure, I'll find out from Greg if there's showers in there. And this is just near the weir. I think it was Weir 32 on Lake Pamamaroo, I think it's pronounced. This site is where Burke and Wills camped in 1860 before splitting the party to head north. The remainder of the expedition remained here a few kilometres from the Menindee outpost. This tree marks the site of one of the camping places of Burke and Will's expedition. While the advance party under Burke's leadership proceeded to the Cooper's Creek and continued the journey towards the Gulf Carpentier area, the base party was camped at this spot from 19th October 1860 to the 26th of January 1861. We found this nice little hidden away spot, a bit out of the wind and right on the lake's edge. Beautiful. Look at all the cormorants tucked away out of the wind. All those birds sheltering from the wind. As always, I'm off to explore. Lake Pamamaroo is a modified natural depression, as are the nearby lakes of Menindee and Corndilla. It has golden perch, Murray cod and of course carp, along with many native species. In normal years, the lake is over 8 kilometres across, allowing for spectacular sunsets. There's no potable water or drinking water available. You must bring your own or boil it for at least 10 minutes before drinking. We carry our own water in 10-litre pouches from BCF that hang by one corner and have a tap at the bottom. We lay 4 of these across the floor in the back seat. We also carry 2 5-litre water jugs from Bunnings. Swimming and fishing are allowed at the lake, and at the area opposite the Burke and Wills campground, it has a sandy beach area and lots of shady spots to camp. Canoeing and kayaking is also permitted, as is horse riding. The main area is 2-wheel drive. as is the track around the lake. It is four-wheel drive only when you go onto the bush tracks leading to the lake's edge. Of course, this changes in wet weather. There were a number of trees with this shape cut out of them, and I wondered if it was the Barginji people cutting them out for shields. And here I am back at camp. And we're on the road again, this time headed for Hatter National Park, which will be our last campsite before we head home the following day. Menindee has a population of around 980 and was the first town established on the Darling River back in 1850. It is also the oldest European settlement in Western New South Wales. It has a pub, general store, school and a few shops. There are varied places to stay, from a hotel to a working sheep station to camping. It's around 9 hours from Melbourne and almost 12 hours from Sydney. The lakes truly are spectacular and well worth a visit. Lake Pamamaroo is 20 kilometres from Menindee and takes about 19 minutes by car. And we're finally driving into Goanna Camp after almost 2 years absence due to floodwaters. I'm not sure what the track's going to be like. I'm hoping that we're going to get through. Hatter National Park has many areas that you can free camp along the river. There are numerous tracks leading off the main track, which is called River Track. And you take these down to the river and there's sites. Some have access to water and others are on a high bank. So you just have to pick your spot. Last time we came along this track, we almost went sideways the whole way, didn't we? And the vehicle was so caked in mud when we got down to the river that you couldn't even see the door handles. Had to get buckets and buckets and buckets of water to wash it off, because the river mud dries like glue. So if you don't get it off when it's wet, even with a high power hose, it's hard to dislodge. The track's looking pretty good, better than we thought it might be. Access to Hatter National Park is four-wheel drive in wet conditions. Some of the tracks you can get with a two-wheel drive in dry conditions, but once you go off River Track, I would strongly advise that you use a four-wheel drive, as conditions can be quite rough. Hatter is about 5.5 hours from Melbourne, or 482 kilometres thereabouts. It's a very popular camping spot during peak times. There's lots of variety of camping areas to camp in, and it's always really good value. There's lots of tracks for four-wheel drive enthusiasts to explore. We've made some videos on a couple of these. There's lakes and all sorts of places to explore. Check those out. We think this might be the track, but since the floods, no one appears to have been here, so just hope that we're on the right track. Right, yeah, going the right way. As this area was underwater for many months, a lot of the tracks have virtually disappeared and are very hard to distinguish. Looks like one of the sand hasn't gone. Wow, it's changed. Greg cooked me a beautiful tomahawk steak for tea. It was delicious. 171 goats. 199 and still counting.